Yes, LIR.com, 927 LIR.com, and YouTube. I am John Kalaboukas, the Bouk, with my friend Paul Zubulake, Zoobie. So I'm going to start off with JETS, but not in a good way, because we have just so much news on them. We're going to have an emergency broadcast, but then we decided, you know what? I kind of mentioned it last podcast, but the Jets finally did the right thing and got rid of Robert Saleh, the highest paid cheerleader in New York Jets history.
Yes, John, our timing was not great last week. And as you said, we did consider going on the air and having another show. But I'm glad we waited because there's so much more to talk about with this franchise. So you had mentioned it about when are they going to fire Robert Saleh? Woody Johnson was listening. Apparently, it was really the Denver game, which we joked about because we didn't have a show after the Denver game and how we would have gone crazy. And we were happy we missed that because I would have probably fired him on the spot. That was like my thought when I was watching that disaster down in North Carolina. So here we are, John, with a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, and a new wide receiver in less than a week.
And I have to say, your prediction was 100% correct about what the Jets would have to get. So they gave them a third rounder, but if he does well, which all Jet fans would be very happy if he did well, then it becomes a second rounder. So that goes right into what you said last week.
Well, it's funny that Joe Douglas finally put some conditions that made sense, unlike the Aaron Rodgers trade with the 65% of the plays. You tie it to a massive positive development AFC championship game. That would be pretty big. He's not making the Pro Bowl, so that's an easy one. But, John, I really have to get to the real story. And we got to take a few minutes and just point to one individual because this individual, aptly nicknamed on the Bouk and Zoobie show as Captain Chaos. And I don't think I've ever been prouder than the call that I had about this guy, Woody Johnson, and how he is chaotic and he is Captain Chaos. So now, John, Woody has stepped up, and after 25 years of being an owner, he is finally taking responsibility for making the moves which he's been doing for decades. And that is the real story. So he is out on a limb of limbs where he is now the Jerry Jones of the AFC. And that's the biggest story about what has happened in the last week. Woody Johnson, Captain Chaos. You own it, buddy. Let's see some results.
And I think he may have been behind the headline today, where after I texted you, then I actually had to. I wish I could have taken the text back where I said, okay, Son Reddick is next, because now they're saying they told his agent, his new agent, Reddick's new
Right.
agent, to go look for a trade.
To go look for a trade. So he hired Drew Rosenhaus, who is one of the top agents in the NFL, love him or hate him. He's a guy who gets deals done. He's not playing games, but it's definitely pretty obvious at this point. Hassan Reddick has driven this whole situation. His agents were probably begging him to agree to a deal. Allegedly, they offered him a lucrative one-year deal. The guy just didn't want to play for the Jets, John. A complete disaster. Another mark on Joe Douglas's tenure, where we're short a third round pick in 2026 for a guy that is probably going to get traded for a fourth round pick. And there's probably going to be some of these, like some sort of pick swap. And they're going to move him, And incredibly, there's talk about moving Mike Williams. So this franchise, with today's big news, because Robert
Yeah.
Saleh getting fired wasn't enough, having a crazy, horrible game wasn't enough. Now they have made the trade for Devontae Adams, and there's a lot of hope, John. And Woody Johnson is he's the number one cheerleader. And as Jet fans who we always speak the truth, John. This just seems like the end of the book, John. It's coming. And I hope I'm wrong, but 2024 may be the final chapter of Zuby following the Jets because they are sucking the life out of me. During that game, it was the biggest, the most painful hours of watching a game where the NFL, and we'll get to them later, put on such a ugly display of a once great sport, John. So that game was just beyond belief and is really just almost a chapter in itself. So here comes Devontae Adams on horseback over the hill to hopefully bail everybody out and then somehow turn this season, which is now at 2-4. And we talk about our team in quarters, John. So we'll give it to week 8, which is 2 more weeks, and we'll see where the Jets sit there. And can Devontae Adams literally pull off a miracle and bail all of these people out? Because it's going to be a long off season for the Jet franchise if they flounder into the finish.
Well, Rodgers,
Yes.
I think we spoke about it last week that he likes to throw to certain spots. And he
Right.
practically threw Mike Williams under the bus,
You're
saying
right.
he wasn't supposed to be where the play was designed for. And I'm
Correct.
like, okay, Mike Williams will be gone very, very soon. When I saw that, I'm like, yeah, he's gone. I mean,
Two
the
weeks in a
offense
row.
actually the
Yeah,
offense actually looked much better. It
correct.
was flowing. I mean, you
Much better
know,
game call.
much
I mean, how could you
much
get
better.
worse than Nathaniel Hackett as an
Right,
offensive coordinator?
right. And what exactly is Nathaniel Hackett doing? They showed him during the game somewhere up in the booth over there. What is he doing there? Uh,
Yeah, well, maybe he'll get embarrassed enough where he'll stop showing up. There was some damning film that I saw of the Minnesota game where the play design was so bad. I saw a good review of the All 22 video of that game where they had guys on the field, and their tight ends especially, that were whiffing on blocks. This past game, the offensive line, again,
oof, oof.
whiffing on blocks.
Oh,
Tyrone Smith, everybody was thrilled that he's playing every down. Now we're thinking, my God, maybe we don't. Maybe he needs to miss a few games like he does every year in his career after a really terrible performance. And I'm just concerned, can Rodgers make it through the season still? I think there's a big question mark if he's going to survive this, no less lead this team till the playoffs. It will unfold in front of our eyes. They have another night game, another national TV game against the Steelers on Sunday night, potentially against Russell Wilson, where he may get his first appearance of the year. So the Steelers are a little bit in upheaval as well. But I mean, I just can't believe it, John. Another nationally televised game. The Jets they never, they just don't win these games. I know they beat Buffalo last year on the opening game, but they generally do not do well in these situations.
well, we can't use the word never anymore because Zerline keeps missing these field goals. I mean, one against crucial against the Broncos, and then two last night. I mean, hitting off the goalpost, and these
Twice.
are usually chip shots for him. I mean,
Yes.
he hurt us. He really hurt
Uh,
us.
oh, John, yeah, if you want to talk about the game itself, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's every way you could see that the Jets, of course, could have won the game again, but just overall, their inability to stop the run on defense is
Oh yeah,
incredibly alarming.
they made
And yeah,
Davis look like O.J. Simpson yesterday.
right. Maybe a better analogy was in order, but okay. Well, but it was the Bills.
Well, it's
They,
Buffalo. It's Buffalo, so I have to
that's
use
true.
someone Buffalo.
That is true.
Or maybe, all right, Thurman Thomas. How's
There
that?
you go. There you go. Little Thurman Thomas. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. They could not stop the run. You're right. They look good offensively. They actually showed something. Brees Hall woke up. Another good game for Wilson.
Yeah.
Uh, so there's and Lazard had a great game. And then also Buffalo. I just it's amazing how teams will just let an opposing quarterback throw a Hail Mary when he has the capability to throw it that far. They rush two guys and let Rodgers literally get ready to make that throw. And only the Jets can lose when you get a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. I mean, let's see some. Let's go back in the history books. Has a team executed a Hail Mary at the end of the first half and still lost the game? I'm sure there's been a case, but
Yeah,
it's
but
just
what
really
about
amazing.
forget about what the Bills allowed the Jets to do on that. What about the Jets allowing Josh Allen to get away from every single trying to tackle him? I mean, the guy's amazing. He seems to get away, and then he throws these 40-yard passes and completes them. And the worst thing of all is the receivers are always wide open when he does that. I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, when he gets out of the pocket and he scrambles, that's what happens. The guys can't cover for 6, 7 seconds. It's impossible for the D
Yeah.
backs. Yeah, he's a great player, John. He's a great player. He really is. That team is a winning team, despite the fact that they haven't won a Super Bowl. They have leaders. They have guys who make big plays. Even though they definitely have a lot of injuries, guys stepping up. So yeah, you have to give them credit. And the Jets are just a team that just from missed field goals to the never-ending penalties.
Oh,
And we're going to
well,
get to that, folks. Don't get me wrong. We're going to get to it. We don't want to make it a feature because it really was bad for both teams. But overall, this whole season is just so bizarre, John, as a longtime Jet fan. It just seeing this unfold, and as I already mentioned, having the owner really take some drastic steps and still kind of talking like this is, the Devontae Adams deal is going to turn the season around as opposed to being a trade that is why in the world did they do this trade when they lose another draft pick in the premium rounds. So despite the fact that they had two-thirds, they will lose one of them. And this is not going to be a second rounder. It's going to be a straight third rounder. And then he even restructured his salary for this year. He's got this crazy non-guaranteed amounts the next 2 years, which of
yeah.
course he's not going to ever see. So I think Adams and Rodgers are really on a 1 year thing, John. I think it's a fantasy that they'll both be back at this point. This could be a Aaron Rodgers 2 years and out with only 1 year of actually playing if he survives the season. I think that's just the way it's looking like to me. I really hopefully we're talking a different tune in a few weeks, John, where they've turned it around. I'll be the happiest guy around, but I don't know what evidence do you have from the team that on the field, the guys who are on the field. Does this team? They're not good enough, John. They're not good enough.
It's they're in disarray, and it was weird how um, they were saying that. Well, particularly the first half, how our head coach, our new head coach, uh, was confused about how to manage the game while trying to call the defensive plays. And I'm saying to myself, what really changes for him? I mean, what does a head coach? You really have to look at it. What does the head coach actually do during the game that's going to distract him so much if he's calling things? There's so many coaches that call offensive plays, defense. Why are they making it sound like we're doing brain surgery here all of a
Yeah,
sudden?
but not many D coordinators are head coaches as well. It is a little rare. On the offensive side, it's definitely much more common. You need a good overall staff. It was his first game. I think it's the things like the replays now with the NFL. Oh my God! Again, they
Oh,
just
oh,
where they can show some transparency on their rules. So it's difficult. It's an excuse. I don't want to hear the defense didn't stop the run in the first half
right.
because he was coaching as the head coach. I agree with you 100%. That is a complete excuse. But to give him a little, you got to give him some time to get everything down as well. So it is definitely a major challenge because it was a short period of time, John. It
Yeah.
wasn't like they had any time to prep this. They were blindsided. And I will still sit here and solid he deserved the Buffalo game. I think he deserved that game to be the head coach. And if he lost it to go 2-4, okay, then you had every right to can him at that point. I don't know what, I mean, Hackett shouldn't have been the offensive coordinator from the beginning of the season. So that's what drives you crazy as a longtime Jet fan. You're seeing all these in-season moves. It never works. It does not work. You do this stuff in the offseason. You acquire Adams in the offseason. You don't let Nathaniel Hackett call the plays from the offseason. And lastly, you get rid of the freaking head coach in the offseason if you don't think he can do the job.
I think you're being overly generous saying that he deserved Buffalo. He didn't deserve this year, and he didn't deserve last year. Okay, he should have
Well,
been fired a long time ago. And
well, right,
I've been
but
ranting and raving about him doing nothing on the sideline.
no,
So,
no. My point is, John, once they brought him into year 4, I believe he deserved to coach that game. Regardless, would if he made the difference in a positive way? Unlikely. I'm not making it a big deal because, like you said, we thought he should have. We knew he wasn't a quality head coach. He kind of maybe deserved. I could argue. You could argue that he never had a QB, so that's the GM's fault, not his. So he kind of deserved a shot. I think he deserved the one last game to see what would have happened because they were playing for the division. It's not a big deal, John. I mean, in
yeah,
the end, they were going to be what they were going to be as a team. And right now, as I've said since the first week of the season, second week, I think I made the call on the show, they're a borderline playoff team. And I'll still argue they're there because there is no doubt that a 500 type of team can get in. So, of course, you can't say they're out of it. They lose next week, 2-5. You could start thinking about them being out of it. But they've got another chance to kind of right the ship and play. The Ulbrich said that if they play a complete game, watch out. Yeah, so, but that's the NFL, right? Every team in the league can say that. Oh, if we played a complete game like we played for a quarter, we'd be, a playoff team. So, yeah, there's a lot of that talk going on. So, uh,
well, Captain
Coach Ulbrich,
Chaos,
yeah,
Captain
but
Chaos was being interviewed by a couple of reporters, and they were asking him about the Adams trade, and he goes, "What message do you have to give to other teams?" He goes, "We're going to kick your ass." That's what
did
he
he say
said.
that?
Yes,
Yeah. So this is the GM of the Jets, Woody Johnson, and he is out there talking trash at 2-4.
he he really
So,
is
John, but
talking
the
trash.
thing is, it's good. After 25 years, he's stepping up and owning it. So I appreciate that he's actually talking about because he's been meddling for years and years. He's been in there meddling.
Well, a team that is just as bad as the Jets, maybe worse, are the New York Giants. They look great for one game, and then they went back into the doldrums against the Bengals.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Giant fans are they can't be happy. I don't want to speak for them. I did watch some of the game. They got their first touchdown of the year at home in this game, John. I didn't realize it was that bad. Uh, Minus Malik Neighbors, they're in huge trouble. They're just not that good of a team. They have some good individual players, there's no question. But injuries as well, right? Thibodeau's out for 4 games. He missed the game. Dexter Lawrence had a huge game. He's a top player. But yeah, just the inability to do anything on offense. Singletary missed the game again. So despite Tracy's really good game the week before, he's still showing some promise. The Giants are in this situation. I don't know, John. I think they're just going to be on the outside looking in, and the Giant fans are going to be talking about the draft by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones, he's trying to do the best he can, but he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it. I mean, they made a mistake. I mean, he has we get glimpses of decency from him, but he's just not consistent. Neighbors was a very good pick. I mean, that kid has a real future in this league, a real future. It's a shame that he was injured. Really a
I think
shame.
he's coming back, so he'll be back this week, I believe. So that will definitely give them a boost. They're just not that good of a team. I just don't know where they're headed because Joe Shane's going nowhere. I'm If I had a bet today, I would say that Daboll is going to get another year because they're going to bring another quarterback in, and Shane's going to think that Daboll can handle a young quarterback, so he's going to give him another chance. I hate to say it, Daboll, in it for a different reason than Saleh, is just maybe just an offensive coordinator. And for Daboll, it's his personality and his inability to control himself. I just still think it's a problem. He just has a temper, and it's hard as a head coach to have a temper. So I think that's kind of going to be his downfall, John.
Actually, he has shown some control. I mean, look, he's lost all that weight, so he's controlling his eating habits. So
No, but I'm just talking about his like on the field. Still, I know. I think it's at a point he knows it, and then he's controlling it. But he's not being himself. As an offensive coordinator, he could be himself, and he's a better offensive coordinator because if he got lost his temper, it's not as big a deal because it's not the head guy. So I think that's ultimately now a problem that he's trying so hard to be something he's not, and he's probably better off being what he is, a good football coach, but just maybe not head coaching material. I'd
right,
love to have a
right.
Giants fan view on it as opposed to mine, but that's kind of the way I look at him as a head coach.
Well, we could always get Fireman Dan back on here, and we could really get the Giants fan point of view.
Well, he's too happy watching his Yankees, so we'll get back to
Oh,
that later because
yeah.
that's actually almost like a theme of this show, right? We really should almost have a football side and then say goodnight and then restart it and then talk about baseball. So I don't
Well,
know, John. The Jets and the Giants, it's just company where misery has company. And right now, these two teams, both at 2-4, are really in big trouble. And the Jets probably in a slightly better situation just because really probably because their division leader is not going to run away and hide. On the NFC side, I mean, I guess you could do the same argument because everybody's kind of struggling a bit, right? So from
everyone
the
is.
Commanders are leading the division at 4-2. So I guess it's the same argument. So maybe the Giants actually have a better chance than the Jets to win the division.
They may. They may. You never know.
Yeah.
I know that you are very upset with what's going on in the NFL. So before we get to the other teams, we're going to have the rant of the week.
Thanks, John. I wanted to talk about the product that the NFL is putting out there. This is something we have talked about many times. And it just seems to me, and you feel free to jump in, that the NFL continues year after year after year to have the same issue with every play in a football game as a fan watching, you need to wait before you have any sort of emotion of positivity because the little yellow mark on your TV screen inevitably pops up. It is becoming so embarrassing. Last night's Jets game, and we are talking on Tuesday this week because the Jets played Monday on youtube.com, Bouk and Zoobie. You got to search the show, Bouk and Zoobie, Zoobie. Please subscribe, like the episodes. It drives the algo. Really appreciate everybody hanging in there with us. Same with Spotify, spotify.com. Favorite the show, subscribe. And our friends at the world famous LIR.com, 927 LIR.com. And really thank everybody because, again, we're a word of mouth show. So please subscribe, like it, drives that algo, helps us out. And if you like rants like the one I'm giving, please continue to watch. So to get back to my rant, John, this is becoming such a problem where it's just zapping your excitement to watch a game. And last night's game, as I mentioned, featured one of the worst roughing the quarterback calls you could ever imagine, where Aaron Rodgers came out after the game and again today on McAfee telling everybody, and he's talking to the NFL, that was a BS call, which led to the rest of the evening making it how can we make up the last call with the next call, where Kinlaw got a roughing the passer call against them, which was just as bad. And you know who's losing out? It's the freaking fans who pay and waste their time, not waste their time, spend their time watching this product. John, every year it's the same story. We're talking about the officials every year. You could probably go back to a conversation we had in the 90s about this. I mean, what's your thought? Is it bad? Am I overreacting?
No, you're not. And the problem with that is that the game is stopping too much. There's no continuity to any of the game. It's this. You're correct. You're waiting to see where the flags are on every single play, even, because you really don't know what's going on. You only see a part of the play, but it's just a stop and go, stop and go. I mean, too many penalties being called. I mean, they got to loosen up a little bit here. They really, I mean, you see these guys, especially when we talk about roughing the passer, where the guy's going full speed and you don't know when the quarterback is actually going to release the ball. What do you expect him to do? Fly over the guy? How can you stop going full speed? You're a foot away, and because you hit the quarterback, oh, it's roughing the passer. How possibly could the guy stop without turning an ankle, ripping an Achilles, trying to get out? It's impossible. And how wide some of these guys are, how it's they have to change it. They really do.
And especially what happened to the pass is not catchable. That was a great rule. Now the joke is that
Right.
the refs say, how am I supposed to know if it's catchable or not? There was a call last night. It's the hand. It was on J.R. Reed,
Yeah.
not J.R. Reed, DJ Reed. Sorry, J.R. Reed, the basketball player. DJ Reed, who got hurt during the game. That's another story with the injuries. Chuck Clark out for 4 weeks. But it's you watch the replay and you're like, that is ticky tack, and then the ball's like 6 yards out of bounds.
6 yards. You're right.
Allen
It was out of
sees him
bounds.
in coverage and he throws it over there. And he's doing it to draw a penalty. He's not trying to complete the pass. He's trying to draw the penalty. That's all he's trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
And
that's part one of the rant. Part two, enough with the lack of transparency with this replay assist.
Oh,
What the heck is this? What is the replay assist? When is it used? When it is not? It's when it's obvious. What happens if the guy up there misses it? Where is the person? Is he in New York or is he at the game? They picked up a flag on an illegal man downfield claiming that it was from New York. We didn't see it on the TV, so they have their own angle of the game that showed it. Well, can I see it as a fan? Can we see the replay? They picked up a flag based on somebody watching it. God knows where they are. And then that's it. It's like a new rule in the NFL. Is it a rule? We don't know. Replay assist. Assist is helping out. When is it? Is it helping out on every play when they want to? When it's obvious? When the coach doesn't know when to freaking throw the red flag anymore? Because how is he supposed to know? He's waiting for the infamous replay assist. Can the replay assist decide about the roughing the passer and say, "Oh, that was a terrible call. Let me assist you"? So that is the rant of the week.
yeah. Well, but what about the assist with the Wilson touchdown, where the Jets challenged it and said, "Oh no, yeah, we
Yeah,
assisted
you don't have
them,
to
so
challenge.
therefore you
That's
could take it back."
right. You so that's the whole
When
thing. Like how many seconds? So what happens if again it's different. They had the ball, but what happens if the other team's rushing up? Say they
right,
know that something is, and then they rush up to try to snap it, and then the replay assist guy's hitting some button, or is he calling over? It's like what is your rules, NFL, John? It's the greatest game on earth. And it's almost bulletproof because of the gambling. Let's face it, people are going to watch this sport no matter what. But us old timers who love the game, we can't watch it anymore. And it's going to be easy to say goodbye. And that's where they're headed. Every year, John, it's the same story with the officials. Every year.
and not only that, it's like I said before, it's the stop and go. The fact that there is no action at all on kickoffs. Everyone's standing around. I mean, maybe these guys can have coffee and cake together while they're just standing around watching. I mean, it's ridiculous. They really have to get rid of it. It's either that or they have to bring it to the 40-yard line. Something.
Well, yeah, we've talked about that, right? Definitely on the 40-yard line, you'll be seeing a lot of kick returns. There's no question. It would be the best thing they could do. We went through that, and that's not even part of the rant, right? It's just
Right,
about the
right,
officiating and the replay assist, which is now it's now part of the game without any explanation how it
right.
got into the game and what's the technology, and more importantly, John, who is making the decisions. We used to be able to see the faces of the officials on the field. We know who they are. Not that we're going to do anything negative towards them, but they're accountable because know who they are. They
Yep.
announce their names. But these guys in replay assist, we don't know who the heck they are. What happened? Maybe one guy's got a gambling problem in replay assist. Who knows?
You never know. And the funny thing is, you'll never see them because whenever they show the replay room, it's like pitch black with like 100 screens. It's like, okay, who's manning what screen?
All right, all right. That was an extended rant. It's driving me crazy. So we definitely need to get it quickly around the league. We may have to skip all the other winter sports, even though we definitely have to mention the Knicks briefly with the Dante DiVincenzo incident. That I know you're gonna have to explain that one to me. But yeah, so quickly around the league. I mean, it wasn't. It's funny that the Ravens started out 0-2 and now are 4-2. I would say that they're probably the best team in the AFC. I think Kansas City's just the injuries. Uh, and then on the NFC side, John, your Detroit Lions, they look to be like the best team. So if I had to like go down a direction of two teams that look a little better than most of the teams that I've seen all year, those are the two that stand out in each conference.
And those are the two I picked for the Super Bowl.
Is that what you picked?
Yep.
All right. Well, oh, there you go. I did not remember that, and hopefully I didn't kiss you to death there. But that's an honest opinion on the games I've seen. Uh, I'm
They
just
did.
trying to think
The
back.
Lions
Yeah.
destroyed the Cowboys to the point where the Cowboy fans are asking Jerry Jones to sell the team now. They
Well, there's a
want to
lot of
fire the
Yeah.
coach. I mean, they're
No, yeah.
going crazy in Dallas.
McCarthy's in trouble. But quickly, actually, back to the Lions, took a devastating injury with
Oh,
Aiden
yeah,
Hutchinson breaking
yeah,
his leg. That is a devastating injury. So maybe that prediction I just made is not going to come true. We'll see how one player can mean the difference. But yeah, there's a lot of mediocrity, right, John? I think that is something we've already talked about. The parity is apparent, and it's just there's not many teams that are stepping up. You could name numerous bad teams. It's hard to name numerous good teams.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and a lot of the games were not very good games
Yeah,
this
there weren't
week.
any, right. That's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to give like an example of what was a great game didn't exist.
Other than what was it, Tampa Bay winning?
Well, it was exciting. I mean, there was yeah, was that
That was a
New Orleans? Did they beat? Was that the Tampa Bay? Did they beat New Orleans?
trying to remember. Was it New Orleans? Or
I
was
anyway, I'll check.
anyway? Uh, yeah, no, not very exciting games this week. I mean, the matchups weren't the greatest this week. Not too many that get you excited.
Yeah, John, if you actually look at these differentials in the game, I mean, the Eagles Browns game was close. The Jet game, oh, Colts Titans. The Colts have come back with John Joe Flacco. I mean, come
Right,
on, right?
right.
Yeah, the
I
Bucks
saw
beat
the
the
end of
Saints.
that
Yeah,
game. Yeah, I saw the end of that game.
yeah, and I actually did not watch any of the morning game where Caleb Williams came out and had a great game. Actually, and Jaden Daniels has looked good. Drake May is now playing. So yeah, they're letting all the young kids play. It's good infusion in the league. But you're right. It is pretty funny. This was just not a great week. So maybe good. Let's quickly we'll get out of the NFL because we definitely have to get to the big story. Knicks, DiVincenzo, what happened? Is this just nothing, or do you have anything on this?
I think it was just a whole lot of nothing. I mean, they
All right,
actually gave a combined tribute to Julius Randle and DiVincenzo. They really should have had a separate one for Julius Randle. I mean, to
right,
combine them, it was ridiculous. It was a combined. DiVincenzo was with us for 1 year.
right,
Julius
right.
Randle came when no one wanted to come to the Knicks, and performed very very well. No, he was just chirping away, and he was, you know, I don't know, he was saying something to Thibodeau about that, look at me, I can't finish, or something along the
Yeah,
line. And
really.
then I don't know, Brunson's dad, Rick Brunson,
Yeah,
started
right.
getting, I don't know, saying words. And then Jalen Brunson was trying to keep DiVincenzo away from his father. And then DiVincenzo says, "Listen, I was the best man at his wedding. Nothing's going to change between us." I was like, you know what? This is a whole lot of nothing, and
Okay.
you know, it's going to be a whole lot of nothing.
All right. All right. So that I definitely wanted to mention it. The NBA season starts a week from tonight, right? The 22nd.
Yeah,
The NHL has obviously dropped the puck. The Rangers have won 2 out of 3. John, the NHL, I love
I,
it, but man, these are just both with the NBA and the NHL. It's like
is
the
anyone paying
beginning.
attention? Is
It just
anyone
it
paying attention?
it's almost impossible to like. I know the hardcore people don't watch, and I don't. I watch most of Ranger games. Right now, there's a ton of competition, so it's a little harder. But it is hysterical how that season is endless. So I mean, it really is unbelievable that they're starting the longest season imaginable for the NHL. Anyway, so yeah, for our remaining time, John, we are gonna switch from the doldrums to the happiness of Major League Baseball. And it's time, folks, for baseball with Book.
So, how many Met fans out there started giving up on the Mets again after that 9-0 loss?
It was that was pretty funny, John. It was. I was like, okay, it does. You lose 2-1 or 9-0 in baseball. You're down one game. I
Right,
mean, I thought
right.
that was crazy. It was crazy.
And the most that I wanted out of leaving LA is a split, and that's
Of
what I got.
course,
That's
and that's what you
exactly
got,
what I got. One game apiece going back to Citi Field.
where they
And
can actually end it at home.
they could. They could. And the Dodgers, I'm going to make a comment about the Dodgers. They are their pitching has been decimated. Their starting pitching has been decimated. They're going to put Bueller tomorrow night. Bueller came off the injury list himself. I would not be surprised if the Mets win that game tomorrow night pretty easily
Wait,
against
wait, John.
Bueller
Okay, you just said by him. When did he come off the injured list?
with like a month left in the season.
Okay, okay, okay,
So
okay,
he has not been pitching well at all.
okay. All right.
He has not
So
been
he's
pitching
pitching.
well.
All right,
Yeah.
and who the Mets pitching?
Severino, who
Okay,
does
so
very
tomorrow
well
night.
at home. He does very well at home. Uh, so I went to two games last week. So I went to um, the third game and the fourth game of the clinching game against the Phillies. And I have to say, the third game, game number 3, outside of David Wright, I'm talking about Citi Field now, not Shea. At Citi Field, uh, was very close to meeting the loudness of the World Series game where David Wright hit a home run to put the Mets ahead. It was freaking loud the entire game. And when I say loud, people screaming from pitch number 1 to the end of the game. Really, really loud. And they won that game easily. Uh, the following night, it was totally different. It was like doom and gloom from the beginning. It was a very quiet crowd. When he was saying, "Oh, it was very loud," it was loud when Lindor hit the grand slam. Then the place just, it was off the charts.
Right,
But as
right.
far as going from pitch 1 to the end of the game, it was the night before. And like I said, I have not heard Citi Field like that since 2015. And I was at that David Wright game. So in the World Series. So the fans were really into it, but I'm going to let you know about something. So I had the chance today because I'm a Capital One card holder. Then you have first shot at World Series tickets. You
Okay.
got the Mets, and then the Yankees were an hour later. So I was on both. And I said, all right, let's see. I have to say, Major League Baseball is doing a real disservice to the real fan that wants to attend these games. So for $1,400, and that's the cheapest ticket right now. $1,400. You're sitting in the outfield somewhere in the upper deck. I mean, sky high seats. $1,400.
All right.
Yankee Stadium. Forget about the standing room. They haven't released those yet. In Yankee Stadium, they have these, if you want to call them seats, they have like I don't know, it's almost like a bar, going all the way around the stadium that you can stand at and watch in particular sections of the stadium. They're charging you almost $1,300 to not even have a seat. They even say it on the ticket. They will not provide you a seat. So you're standing to watch a game for $1,300. I mean, what is going on? I mean, the league championship series, these type of seats are about $300, for a meaningful game. I am stunned how much the World Series. I didn't buy them, by the way. I had a
Okay.
shot. I did not buy it. Just crazy, crazy, crazy ticket prices. And
Well, that's
how can any fan, a blue collar fan, afford this?
Of
So,
course not.
so your
You can't do
choice is: do I make my mortgage payment, or do I go to one Yankee game or Met
it. Right.
game?
I know it's the way well, that's the way it's been for a while now with sports tickets, entertainment. It's through the roof. There's a lot of finagling that goes on in these box offices of these teams, the deals that they have with these resellers. John, being a season ticket holder is kind of the only way to go. As you know, you took a calculated risk this year, and incredibly, the Mets have come through. So, and the people who stuck with them are the ones flipping those seats out and making some money.
Well, as I said last week, if I were to buy season tickets, they would have given me strips for all the games for the National League Championship Series and the World Series, and it would have been $1,250 for the World Series and the National League Championship Series per ticket. So it would have
Okay.
cost $2,500 to see National League Champion and World Series. So that was a steal. If you
Hmm.
look at it, that was a steal.
Right. Well, that's basis paying for the whole next season, though. That's different.
Correct. Correct.
So that's a big ticket item because if was it you had to do a full season next year
Full,
for that
full,
deal? Yeah.
if you wanted all the games, full
Yeah. Right.
season.
Which
So
nobody
it would have,
technically
so it
wants.
would have cost me for my tickets plus the championship and the World Series, $8,100 per ticket,
All right.
per
Well,
season ticket.
let's
With
get back to the field. Let's get back to the field and I mean, it's just the Mets. It's feast or famine, right? It's amazing that they're having these huge innings, and and it was great at least for once they got the runs early in the game, as opposed to late in the game, which has been their mo. But it's just a great time to be a Met fan, and some of the performances, John. This bullpen situation
oh,
where we got to mention a guy that has stepped up, and he hasn't been perfect, and he's got the longest hair imaginable, but Stanek, and I
Stanek,
don't, and what the heck is his first name? I don't even know. Ryan, I
Ryan,
think
Ryan, yeah.
Ryan Stanek has been huge for them, John. He has come in and helped them out because Budo is just, you cannot trust Budo now.
Not anymore. No.
Maton, it's
Oh,
literally a heart attack every time he gets out there. And Diaz, John, in the Philly series, when he walked those first two guys in the last inning, I mean, that was like the most painful moment. I'm telling you, talk about being pessimistic. What was that feeling like at the stadium when he walked those two guys?
not only was it stunned disbelief, they were even quieter than they were the entire game. And I was going nuts. I said, "What is he doing? Just going crazy."
Throw
I,
a strike, and
just
then
throw a strike. You have a
yeah.
3-run lead. 3-run lead. Yeah, and by the way, that's what's been killing the Mets are the walks. They, they're very. I think I'm going to check my statistics, but I think they were either first or second in the amount of walks by a team or the Mets.
For the
Most
season, you saw
walks. Yeah, for the
first season.
season. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
and and
yeah.
and and by the way, for people who don't know, Stanek actually didn't have a very good year this year when the Mets
Yeah, he was
acquired him.
terrible for the Mets, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he started doing better at the end of the year. He started getting his splitter and everything going, and he throws pretty hard. But people forget that he was very, very good with the Houston Astros in their championship years. He was part of that bullpen. He was excellent with them. So
Right.
if I can get the Stanek from the Houston Astros, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Well,
But
right now,
please,
right, you get
please,
it.
Mendoza, please, if you're listening, if you ever listen to this, do not bring in Maton again, please. The guy has nothing. He shows nothing. Any and what's amazing to me yesterday and games before, he is throwing these meatballs that are chest high that these guys are swinging and missing by the grace of God, everything he has is going. I mean, he's supposed to have a good curveball. I haven't seen it. Where has it been?
I
I'm
don't know.
telling you, not
Yeah.
good, not good. Even you know, I mean, we have Peterson. Listen, I'm glad that he took Peterson out when he saw that the game was out of reach, basically. But they should really think about having him start. Let him start. He was a starter the entire year.
Yep.
Just let him start now. If you need him in Game 5 on Friday night, let him be the starting pitcher. Let him.
Yeah, I
You're
don't think they
spending.
can let. Yeah, they can't let Senga start again, right? They can't do it.
They got
That's
to let Peterson start. That and it. Guess what? Lefty against against Otani and Freeman and Muncy. You want
yes.
him in there. I mean, you saw
From the
what
first inning.
Mania
From the
did.
first inning.
Right. Yeah, Mania made Otani look like a little leaguer yesterday. He toyed with him. He pitched an excellent game. I think he lost his concentration a little bit in the sixth inning, and he kind of pulled him a little
Yeah.
quickly there,
Oh,
a
he
little
pulls.
quick.
You're not kidding. He didn't have a
And
lot
then
of pitches. It was a ground ball. They could have turned a double play. It's not his fault
no,
they made the mistakes. John, I said it last week or 2 weeks ago that I thought that this would be the demise of the Mets in the playoffs was their bullpen. They are somehow doing the job. It's really almost it's to me it's like a miracle. I really believe it's a miracle. This is a absolutely crazy season where you just don't believe it, and this team continues to pull it out. So you cannot. I don't know how anybody could be negative because it's. I know it's hard for Met fans to have this feeling because this is the team that they're never dead. They just have a never say die. And amazingly, the bullpen is coming through when they need them, when they have the lead. But it just seems like it's just a dam ready to break. And it's just, can they get through this series? Because the World Series, getting to the World Series would be amazing. Obviously, when you have a franchise that hasn't won it in so long, you obviously want to win the World Series. But where this team was in May to go to the World Series is just unbelievable accomplishment. But that will bring us to the other side, and we can go back to the Mets whenever you want. But the potential for a Subway Series, at least from the American League side, as you have talked about for weeks on baseball with Bouk, is that the Yankees are just the best team in that league, which you called it, John, is just not strong this year. It
it's
really is.
it's
So the
awful to
National League
watch.
should win the World Series. That
Right,
if you look at it that way, because the Yankees have definitely shown vulnerability. There's no doubt,
100%.
and but the competition is just not there.
The American, you're looking at it and you're viewing it on the screen. American League very, very weak this year, and you can see it. You see the quality of the play. Come on, like the Yankees are not going to beat the Guardians. Come on, this should be a cakewalk for them. And um, some some advice to the Guardians and to other teams that have been pitching to Stanton. Why would you throw this guy any pitch near the strike zone? We all know if you throw it down and outside, he's swinging and he's going to strike out automatically. Every time he hits a home, oh, Stanton's hot. Yeah, Stanton is hot because they're throwing everything over the middle of the plate. I don't know what kind of coaching or they're making such bad pitches. This guy is the easiest guy to pitch in the major leagues is Stanton. He's so predictable. You could get him out so easily. So as far as the rest of the Yankees, I mean, Soto showed some life. Judge is still not showing any life at all. Uh, Listen, if the Mets and Yankees get in, I think this will be the year that the Mets will beat them because we're a scrappier team. And if you look at what the type of teams that the Mets had to go through to get, you talk about the Braves, the Brewers, the Phillies, and hopefully the Dodgers, which I think they're going to beat the Dodgers. That was a team I wanted to face. I did not want to face the Padres. They should beat the Yankees within 5 or 6 games. If, again, this all goes according to plan, that we beat the Dodgers, I think that the Mets are going to make mincemeat out of the Yankees. The Yankees really don't, I don't know. I just don't think they're a very gritty team. You could get them down and they don't come back. And I'm
All right.
sorry, Mr. Lettuce, if that's your team, don't get too happy with them.
All
They'll
right.
make the
Well,
World Se- They'll make the World Series. They'll
all
make the
right.
World Series.
All right. Well, I may have to calm you down a little bit. It is only 1-1 in the National League, so
No,
we're all excited that they
that's
bounced
if we
back
get in.
after that horrid show in the first game. Mark Vientos with the key hit. Unfortunately, I work for a living, so I actually missed that home run. Thank you, Major League Baseball, with the 4 o'clock starts. I don't know how that is doing much of the fans. I'm glad to see all the fans who are attending these games are not worried about their jobs. And I guess, does that count as working from home when you're working in Section 212?
Well, what I noticed about the Dodger game yesterday is there were a lot of empty seats. They had a lot of empty seats in the upper deck. They were
I
not sold out. Very
Well,
surprisingly.
because the Met fans couldn't, not enough of them can get out there to fill those seats up. Because if it was a closer reach, John, there would be definitely some Met fans. There are Met fans there, but they're mostly transplants. Now, obviously, there are the hardcore folks who travel, so I'm not going to say there's none of them. There's plenty, but nothing to like that Met Philly series, right? There wasn't empty seats anywhere with those series because the
Not one
opposing
seat.
team is going to fill those seats up. So and that, obviously, if the Yankees play the Dodgers, and maybe there's a little more interest out in La La Land, but it's LA, John. They got a lot of stuff going on. They love Ohtani. How about those crazy statistics with Ohtani, where when he's coming up with nobody on base, did he finally get a hit in the last at bat? Did he break that streak, or is he still the 0 for, right? Wasn't he like 0 for 19 when he was like batting
Yeah,
leadoff? I don't know
yeah,
if he
yeah.
walked or whatever. He finally did something. I can't remember anyway, but it's like stunning that you see like such a statistic like that. He can be pitched to as well. Like Manaea definitely is he's so wicked against left-handers, Manaea. It's just that third time through the lineup, he seems to run out of gas, but it's amazing. The manager just won't let him go. And I keep crying when I'm watching these games. Please, please let these guys go deeper into the game. But the Magic Man, Magic Mendoza, he cannot do anything wrong, John. He really can't. It's just whatever he's doing is working.
Well,
Oh man, I'll tell you,
the one person that it doesn't matter what uniform he wears is Freddie Freeman. He could be on one leg, and he is on one leg.
he's hurting.
Still hits the Mets, still drives and runs. I mean, the guy could barely walk. You see him. He was trying to score in the first game,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he couldn't make it. I mean, he was really hobbling badly.
Yeah,
The
but
guy's
Manaea stopped him. Manaea stopped him cold, so right, he didn't do anything
yeah.
in that game. So yeah, we'll see. So okay, so tomorrow night it's Bueller against Severino, and then is it like everything is TBD at this point because they are playing Thursday as well, right?
Yeah,
Are they
yeah,
playing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? Is that the schedule?
correct. That's correct. And
All
it's
right,
Thursday night. They play at 8 o'clock. Friday they're playing at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay, I think
5 o'clock.
everybody could. Yeah, Friday's a little easier to get out of the office late in the day. Zubulake appreciates that. So we're looking at. So what's the comp? Is Quintana game 4? Right? Is they gonna go with
Quintana's game
Quintana?
4. Yeah,
So that's it.
and
Severino, Quintana, and TBD. Definitely, I agree with you. Definitely, Peterson should be
Peter
starting
should
that
start.
game.
Peterson should start.
Imagine if it's for the whole thing, he better. Sanga's just I feel bad for the guy, but it's just this is too much risk putting him in there. And even if he pitches well, John, they're going to let him go what 3 or 4 innings. So it just doesn't make any sense. I just don't like it. I know the Dodgers had to do a complete bullpen game. I mean, I don't know what that says about Major League Baseball, where obviously the season being so long, the injuries, and is it really, is that what you want to showcase as a sport in game 2 of your championship series where you don't even have a starting pitcher available to pitch the game? There's something wrong with your sport. There's something wrong with the schedule if that's what's happening. It makes no sense.
Well, the Dodgers lost 3 major pitchers: Kershaw, Glasnow, and then you had Urias with that crazy sexual assault thing. So, I mean, 3 top pitchers, 2 of them get
Right,
hurt. I
right,
mean,
but that's been a
it's
while though.
amazing. No, but it's pretty amazing that they've lost so many. Gavin Stone was good. He's going to be out for the year. So they had so many. The Dodgers have been hurt really badly with their starting pitching. We have to cross our fingers with the Mets for the next 2 weeks. If our starters can get us through the next 2 weeks, we could be the champs. But let's concentrate on this week. I just want them to get through this week, starting pitching. Let Peterson go Friday night. I actually watched the interview with Senga after the game on YouTube. I waited the next day. And he said that he felt great, but in the bullpen before the game, he said his mechanics were off.
Okay.
He said
It's
it.
just
And he says, I did not feel good with my mechanics. And he
all
goes,
right. Well,
so
that's
we'll
because he's
see.
not pitching enough, right? He didn't pitch enough this year. His mechanics, he's like he's in spring training.
Right.
It's amazing they rolled the dice. They got lucky. It's not that they got lucky; they gave the game away. So just advance, and nobody's going to talk
Right.
about it. He
That's
should
correct.
not be pitching anymore. It's nothing against him. He's just not ready to do it. It's kind of ridiculous. But Mendoza, whatever the guy's doing, it's amazing. It would be
It
nice
is.
if the Mets, the bottom of the lineup, did something. Would you
Oh,
put McNeil back in the lineup? Is it time for McNeil?
yeah. 2 guys that they're relying on too much are Taylor. Again, even though he was good yesterday, he's not an everyday player. I think Bader should be in there somehow. And Alvarez has been absolutely killing us with his pop-ups. He left 7 runners on base. He came up with the bases loaded and 1 out. Didn't drive anyone. First and second, I believe it was 1 out. Didn't drive anyone, and then it was first and second and 2 outs. Popping it up. He's been killing us. He's really due. I mean, at least he's hitting the ball.
Yeah.
But and
Well,
even
they
with
got nowhere to go.
Iglesias, I think we're really stretching the guy thin here. I
Yeah.
would put McNeil at second base now.
All right. So and Torrens is just not
No,
good enough to
no,
put in. So I
no,
think
no.
Alvarez is going to help. I just wish he would cut down on his swing, John, and just try to make contact. He's just trying to kill the ball.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a gutty guy, and he can hit he can hit the long ball. So yeah, we're geared up, folks. We're all fired up. Like I said earlier, we had a show today that was one half nightmare and one half absolute happiness. We hope it continues. But John, of course, you have something else to say. As always, I'm always going to give you a chance. You got something. Who passed away that we haven't mentioned?
Louis Tiant passed away.
Oh, he did. When? Today?
No, a
Oh,
couple of days ago.
oh, I missed that. I missed
And
that.
and actually, the person who told me about this was my wife, who said, "Remember that guy we met outside of Fenway Park, LT?" And she said El Tiante because that's what I called him when I saw him. Oh yeah, Louis Tiant. What? She goes, "Yeah, he passed away at 83." I'm like,
83.
"Oh,
I missed that. Sorry to hear. Sorry
yeah,
to hear, John.
yeah." And it's amazing that he's not in the Hall of Fame because he has quite a few wins. I mean, he was clutch player for the Red Sox. He was clutch with other teams, but they haven't He's Cuban. I'm surprised that they haven't put him in the Hall of Fame. You know, he never makes it, even with the Veterans Committee. But like I said, he was an interesting character, really
Yeah, he
interesting
was more
character.
character than top pitcher. He was a good pitcher, and he was gutty. He always take the ball. Talk about guy who would throw 9 innings. You know, you had to drag him off the mound. Borderline Hall of Famer. We've talked about this before. Unfortunately, the Hall of Fame's getting cheapened a little bit with some
Yeah,
borderline guys getting in. So then you do look at some of the old timers, like how can this guy not be in? I think Keith Hernandez is definitely in that bucket as well.
right.
Especially with a lot of the intangibles, like a guy like Keith brought to the table. But anyway, John, anything else you have before
Uh,
we send everybody home for the night?
well, two other things.
Two other things. All right, what do you
Two
got?
other things. So you talk about reusing managers that they never go away. Who was just hired by the Cincinnati Reds, where we thought he retired forever because of health issues.
Oh,
Terry
Francona
Francona.
is back.
Francona is back. Charlie Blackmon, who was a decent player for the Rockies, officially retired.
Okay.
And
famous for his long hair and beard.
Yeah, and his walk-up song that the fans used to sing while the poor guy was trying to bat half the time. And one other thing that I've noticed, and I actually did some research. So, you know, when they actually do these ridiculous interviews during the game with players and managers,
Yeah.
that they're talking to them. Okay. So during the season, everyone thinks that, oh, isn't that great? You know, we're hearing Lindor talk while he's trying to field the ground ball or something. Do you know that they get $10,000 every time they do that on the field? And during the World Series and the playoffs, they get $15,000. Can you believe this for a 1-minute interview with a manager? Or I don't think they're going to put the microphones on the players to distract them during a World Series or something.
Oh, you never know, John.
But can you believe this $15,000 to do an per interview?
John, well, all that money they're making from this unknown company named Strauss, which has been like
Right.
all over all the batting helmets.
Yeah.
So would you be surprised if during the game they stop the game to do an interview that it's brought to you by whoever, some company that it's a German company? I mean, this stuff is just, I mean, can you cheapen the game anymore? Rob Manfred, that's for you. Anyway, John, we got to let everybody go. We don't want to make the show too long. Save everything else you had for next week, and we will talk to everybody. We will be doing the show next Monday, dropping Tuesday. As always, we appreciate the support.
And again, as always, thanks to our producer, Zach Zubulake, and to our loyal listeners. Keep the feedback coming. Keep the comments coming. We love reading it. Also, thanks to our community partners, Ronald McDonald House, Kids in Seats, and the Jackie Robinson Foundation. See you Monday.